Kiwi, it's 14 minutes past 9.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Game junkie Gerard Campbell.
Game junkie Gerard Campbell is with us, back from E3, back from the land of gaming madness for 3 days. Hello to you, Gerard.
Good morning, Glenn. How are you today?
I'm very well. Must be great to be back.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Some ways it's good to be back to see the family and pleasant surroundings, but it's not good to be back to the cold weather we're having in the south at the moment. It's not very pleasant, but yeah, that's what happens, isn't it?
Well, that's true, but indeed, an absolutely mad, crazy time that is E3. What were your overall impressions of the actual event itself? Not the products, but the event and how it was put together.
I mean, I think this E3 was one of the ones that I guess since about 2008, it's sort of gone back to the E3 evolved. You know that it's got a lot more personality and it's big and it's loud and it's really well organised and it's it's just a huge big gaming fest, isn't it? And you get a chance to see you mingle with thousands of people and crunch and crash your way through and get to see cool stuff. And yeah, I mean this year was really good because it was it was fun packed and it was really energetic and it was probably one of the better ones that I've been to over the past couple of years, probably. Yeah.
Okay. What about let's look at some of the gear first of all. The new gear that's coming out from Nintendo.
Yeah. Well, I guess I guess one of the big things for the show, and on credit to Nintendo, was their 3DS, which is their long rumoured, I guess the next version of the Nintendo DS handheld console, and this one can do 3D on its top screen without the need for 3D glasses, which is a huge big coup because, of course, a lot of other companies like Samsung and Sony are going for 3D, but you have to wear those bulky glasses.
Yeah.
And with Nintendo's 3DS, there's no need for glasses, so it's the same size as a normal, if you've seen the Nintendo DS handheld console, but the top screen has a 3D image, and it sort of reminded me of, almost like a holographic card, or those rulers that you used to have as a kid that you could tilt, and it sort of created that 3D image.
Yeah.
But it looks really impressive because the demo we had some hands on with, I guess, which are very early prototypes because Nintendo hasn't given a date on when it's going to be released. So it could be this year, it could be early next year. But the demo showed a whole lot of Nintendo characters that you are able to rotate around using. The new one's got an analog stick, which is going to be great for action games and shooters and that. But you could actually rotate, and the 3D effect was really good. There was no sweet spot. You could see the 3D from any angle that you viewed the screen. So
wow.
it seems to be a really remarkable achievement what Nintendo done, and also too, it's got a couple of cameras on it, which means that you're also going to be able to take 3D photos, take some photos and then turn those into 3D images. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Well, last week you also told us about Xbox Kinect, which is their new motion sensing technology that's going to be released soon. But also Sony had something to announce as well.
Yeah, well, I guess one of the other big battles for the year is going to be the battle of the motion sensing controllers. I mean, of course, Nintendo sort of started the ball rolling with their Wii Remote, but Sony and Microsoft have sort of, I guess, taken the next step with Sony with their Move, which is still a controller-based device, which is that you're holding, but it almost looks like an ice cream cone with a glowing soft ball on it, and using the PSI camera, it uses that to sort of create depth across the various axes, and sort of so that's how they can create your motion. So you can hold the Move. If you're playing a fighting game, you'd hold one controller on one hand and the sub controller on the other, and you actually physically move as if you're punching, so it's going to be a bit more realistic. But Microsoft have gone away completely from the holding a sort of a controller or a device, and with their Kinect, which is their tagline is that you're the controller. So essentially what it's doing is that it's a camera based device as well, and it has camera and sensors on it, and that can do a full body scan, so it can sort of determine your position based on that sort of data. So it's really two extremes. You've still got Sony who are going with the motion sensing, but still with a physical controller that you're going to hold in your hand.
Yeah.
And Microsoft going with a completely controllerless, I guess, a device which you're gonna and the games that the Kinect showed at the moment, and ones that I had a handle with, they're very sort of party style games. If you sort of think Wii Sports sort of thing, so you're going to sort of along similar lines to what you're going to be able to get. But it's very, I think it's exciting because it's, it's taking a move away or back from actually having a complex controller. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't try gaming because they are put off by the number of buttons on a controller. And if you're familiar with playing games and controller, then that's fine. But if you're someone new to it, it can be pretty daunting. So I think something like the Kinect will really appeal to perhaps those people that haven't traditionally wanted to try games, or perhaps families who want to get into sort of, perhaps more casual action-oriented games, which I think it'll be really suited to.
So it seemed like a pretty good E3 for new hardware coming out from those manufacturers. And something else I noticed, a piece of news that was filtering out for anyone who wants to play PC games was, I don't know if you saw this, Gerard, and can tell us anything more about it, but games that are provided from a remote server, so they're not actually loaded or on your computer, and you don't even need a very powerful computer to play these. They come over your internet connection.
Yeah, well, this is sort of, I guess it's like the on live service, isn't it? Which is basically what it's doing. Is it's essentially cloud. It's essentially cloud gaming, cloud computing, and
that's right.
And it's an exciting prospect because the game software is basically being hosted at a remote site. It's going to mean that you're not essentially going to have an Uber supercomputer to run a game, and it's it's an exciting prospect because it will mean that essentially you'll be able to, if you've got a minimum, I guess, hardware specs for your PC wherever you are or your laptop, and you've got broadband internet, that you're essentially going to be able to play any number of games from any location that you want, and that's a really exciting prospect because it means that you're no longer going to be tied to one location for your PC gaming. So and I think there's another service being offered by a sort of well-known game developer called Dave Perry, who sort of started up Shiny Entertainment way back in the day, and he's got another sort of a cloud-based system called, I think it's called Gaikai or the Gaikai. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's an exciting, I think, proposition. But of course, it's going to be really dependent on a really strong broadband infrastructure, of course, and I guess a subscription base and that sort of thing.
Although that could end up the subscription base thing could, much like Steam, make it cheaper for people to enjoy games as opposed to forking out for the $100 boxed version of a game.
Oh, exactly, and and that's another thing, that I think there is going to be more of a move. And Steam got the ball rolling, and I guess Xbox Live is sort of doing it as well. Is that there's going to be more, perhaps, an increase in digital content. Because as broadband infrastructures get more robust and faster speeds, then it's going to be easier for people to move more towards the digital download content. And not perhaps relying so much on bricks and mortar stores and manuals and physical copies. So it's going to be interesting to see where the industry is going to move in the next few years, I think, because Microsoft certainly are really pushing that digital download space. And whereas I think Sony is still really reliant on, they still see Blu-ray as the sort of, I guess, the future for the next few years anyway.
Great. Well, that's a great roundup of the hardware at E3 that you saw, Gerard. No doubt next week we'll catch up more on the game side of it as well, and what we can expect to see in the next year or so. Gerard, in the meantime, we will catch you on Twitter, twitter.com/GameJunkieNZ, and also on your blog at stuff.co.nz.
Indeed. Thank you very much.